Yeah.
So the first question we're looking at today is, can anyone get a black belt? So can anyone get a black belt? Who wants to kick this one off?
Well, see, it's a difficult question, that, isn't it? Because what is a black belt? You've got to define that before you can define can anyone get one. And everybody's black belt, I think I might have put something out about that recently, is different to everybody else's. But people assume they're all the same thing.
So I assume the first thing probably to say is yes, anyone can get a black belt, because I think it was you the other day, Bob pointed out, you can literally go into a shop and buy one.
Yeah.
So you can buy a black belt as a piece of cloth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the black belt in the mythology of martial arts is different, and that's probably what we're trying to talk about.
Yeah,
so
but I think the thing is there that you're very much talking about mythology, which bears no relationship to the reality of what a black belt is, because it's not a thing. There isn't a level, there isn't a set standard, there isn't a set of requirements that can define this is what a black belt is, this is what a black belt does. If you look at all the motivational sites, they're so full of shit about what people think a black belt means and how it means you live your life and all this other bollocks that goes with it that drives me up the wall. Yeah, it's sort of worn as a badge of being special and being better than anybody else. And if that is how your structure and your syllabus is defined and your ethos is defined, then that's what it takes to be a black belt. If your being a black belt is just defined as, well, I don't need to be technically skilled, but I'm just a big lump of a lad and I can thump people. So if I dominate them and I can take them down, it doesn't matter if I'm shit at karate. I can still be a black belt because I can defend myself and I can do these things.
Oh, I mean, I think one of the great old arguments or discussion points on this is, if you get your black belt and you're whatever, and you are a black belt because you can defend yourself, what happens when you're 97 years old and you literally can't defend yourself? Are you still a black belt? So it just comes back to what the fuck is a black belt in the first place? And that is the problem, I think, here. So the bottom line is, I suppose everyone defines within their own club association what a black belt is.
That's what I was going to say as well. Yeah, it comes down to all the different groups, isn't it? So it's a different measure in whatever group you're in. You know, so what people would call the McDojos, where you can go and buy your belt, is a different measure to somewhere where you earn it through blood, sweat, and tears. But so
yeah,
there is
an entirely different topic, but it's the McDojo thing, isn't it? Is everybody else's McDojo is something
other than me? Yeah, I'm not McDojo. Every other company's.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is people are trying to measure it against other people, aren't they? Which I suppose it's a natural human trait, isn't it, that you would measure yourself against somebody else.
Well, I think that's because we've got that generally in life. We're brought up through the school system, O levels or whatever they call them now, A levels, degrees. They're all they all used
GCSEs.
To be
I think they are now, Andy.
What?
GCSEs. I think. Yeah.
So the question is, I mean, you know, they are sort of on a par. If you do music, if you get a grade 8 in whatever instrument, that's pretty much on par with everyone else. Whereas martial arts have got no standard whatsoever.
Yeah, so that's the difference, isn't it? So if you're a grade 8 on a musical instrument, there is a governing body that oversees everybody who's a grade 8. Whereas,
and if anyone's interested in that topic, there will be another short coming out about governing bodies very soon as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Anyway, back to the topic. So can anyone get a black belt? The answer is, I suppose they probably could if they go to the association that will give them out a black belt for what they can do.
So yeah, we would briefly mention this earlier. I had a dilemma with one of my students probably about 5 years ago, maybe. She was a very old lady. She didn't miss a session. Yeah, so we only trained twice a week, but she was there twice a week. She was well into her 70s, possibly older. You know, I never asked her, I didn't. But she was getting to that stage. I think she was third Q, and she'd been a third Q for a good 4 or 5 years. And it's like, okay, I spoke to Bob about this. I felt I needed to progress her because of her commitment to the club and her dedication to training. But then I thought she's never going to be the level what I would have expected somebody to be as a black belt. So I had a tough time over that, and I think I kind of regretted not progressing that. She would never have physically kicked the younger people's asses, but she knew a lot of stuff. She knew her techniques and she knew the theory behind stuff. But yeah, physically she was never going to be what I would have classed as a black belt. So that's why I struggled with should I award her it.
This is the other thing, isn't it? I mean, people talk about, do you have to fit rigidly to the syllabus, or is it personal improvement and how much you've improved upon yourself? And I think we've all got to walk a slightly different line on that. We all have slightly different feelings. And I think the only thing you can do is be honest with your students about, this is what I expect. And if they're never going to get a black belt, tell them that.
Yeah.
But I suppose some of it is about personal development, isn't it? So you've seen that person from white belt going through their karate journey. But yeah, like you say, there's a standard to be met, or are you grading each person individually? Because as a small club, I'm not a big organisation, so I do get to know my students, and I do see their growth throughout their martial journey.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but is that built into your syllabus? Is it about being as good as you can be, even if you can't achieve the standard of that syllabus, or is the syllabus about achieving the standard of that syllabus to a certain level? Yeah. And only you can decide that within your group, which means that everybody can either get a black belt or they can't. And it's just an arbitrary choice. So it really doesn't mean anything, because it's purely down to a personal decision of the person who defines what your target is. So it's not a measurable thing from one place to another.
And that ends up being the problem, really, doesn't it? Because, I mean, when advertise, oh look, he's a 10th dan in karate, he must be great, and you go, well, actually, he's shit. This guy over here. I mean, we all know people who've never got a black belt who are probably better fighters than most of the black belts we know.
Yes. Yeah.
And we probably know. I mean, a good story is when I remember when I got my black belt originally, and I thought, hey, fucking hell, I'm a black belt now, and this guy who'd been sort of like 6 months ahead of me all the way through had failed his twice. And I thought, hey, I'm a black belt, because I was a young knobhead at the time. Now I'm just an old knobhead, obviously. I was a young knobhead, and I thought, we came to sparring. I thought, hey, yeah, I'm a black belt. He's not. Shit at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And he learned a very good lesson.
But again, that comes down to the fact, well, is it a physical skill thing? Because, he's not graded as high as you, but he's definitely technically and physically better than you.
Yeah.
But then what happens to him 30, 40 years down the line, when he's no longer got that physical talent? Does he know enough to carry on being a black belt, or does it go away? Or
again, yeah, what is that black belt? What level of knowledge do you need? I mean,
well, that's particularly pertinent to my situation, because basically I had my heart trouble in 2017, and my training took a downturn quite quickly after that, and then we went into a pandemic, then we've had lockdown. So technically and physically, I'm nowhere near, I think, at the level that I would need to be to consider myself a black belt. So if it's purely a technical...
Ryan's been saying that for years, to be fair.
Well, to be fair, he's seen me from the outside. He's probably not mistaken. You've got to bear in mind the path I came up through. But for me, I couldn't consider myself to be at that technical level and that physical level. Does what I know compensate for that? Does that mean anything? Or is it purely a physical skill? Is it a knowledge? Where does it come? How do you judge something like that?
And that's the thing, isn't it, really? It's, I mean, like Kevin goes, oh, yeah, well, look at boxing coaches. They don't fight, but they've got all the information. Or is it like a degree where you've got that degree, and whether your brain melts out your ear, you've still got that degree, so it's a piece of paper. And that's it, basically. It's a piece of paper saying you did a certain thing on a certain day with certain people. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, fuck off, everyone.
Okay, yes, that'll do.